In this video, Dr. Cath is with us and she's going to be talking about depression, some signs and some symptoms. And you're going to want to stay tuned till the end because she's going to get some tips and strategies in dealing with depression in our lives. So if you're struggling with depression or you know someone who's struggling with depression, stay tuned because this next session is for you. Additionally, if you're interested in more mental health resources, make sure you click that subscribe button. And if you're interested in making a plan forward and you want to get more help, go in the description box below and there's a link to our website where you can contact us and we can make a plan moving forward toward better mental health in your life. So enjoy this video with Dr. Cath.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about depression. And I've subcalled it colors of darkness. So depression is a very difficult thing to go through. It's not a simple thing to go through. And it's important to understand that when we talk about depression from a clinical point of view, we're not just talking about somebody feeling sad or blue. We're actually talking about something that is much bigger than that. Some people, when they are depressed enough, are not able to get up in the morning, or not able to pull themselves out of bed, or not able to give the care that they need to those that are depending on them for care. So it can go that bad, or it can just become very, very dark and very difficult to go through, but not be impeding function that much. It can be just making it hard to concentrate and that kind of thing. So I'll get into that a little bit. I think an important thing for us to recognize is that a major depressive disorder can be diagnosed in a much shorter amount of time. So anxiety needs to actually go on for quite a long time because anxiety has that adaptive function. And some would say that depression also, some of the symptoms of depression can be adaptive as well. But it only needs to go on for 2 weeks, but you need to have at least 5 different signs or symptoms that are going on at a time. So we'll get into that. The one thing that's really important with depression in a clinical sense is that one of two things have to be present. If one of those 2 things are not present, it would not be diagnosed as depression. So one is a depressed mood every day for most of the day. So we're talking to an extreme amount. The person is just blue a lot, and it's a deep thing. The other that it would need to be included is that they don't enjoy the things that they normally enjoy. So a loss of pleasure. It's called anhedonia. So normally you would love to spend time at the park with your kids, or love to sing and play your guitar, or whatever it is that you love to do. When we're starting to get concerned, we're starting to see that either that enjoyment isn't there, or there's this really pervasive mood that happens and is just staying there. One of those 2 things have to be there. Then on top of that, there would need to be 3 or 4 more of those symptoms. So if you have both of those, then we're only looking for 3 more. So you've got the depressed mood most of the day, every day. You've got the loss of pleasure in all or almost all the activities that you normally would do or like to do. Then we're getting repetitive. So we've got insomnia. So either insomnia or hypersomnia. You're not sleeping enough or you're sleeping too much. Sleep gets hit with so much mental health stuff. Sleep, we pay the price there often. Here again with depression, we've got fatigue or loss of energy. So you're going to have that more lethargic kind of experience. So fatigue or a loss of energy. Again, concentration, it also can show itself in indecisiveness. You're just not able to concentrate anymore. We're looking for a different combination. You're probably noticing you're hearing the same thing as with burnout and anxiety, but now we're putting a different constellation together. We're looking at those same markers that I talked about way back at the beginning of the series, but now we're starting to put it together a little bit differently, which would give it a different name. Feeling worthless. again, there's that self-worth going down, or excessive or inappropriate guilt. So I feel guilty for just about anything. I apologize for many things that I do simply because I feel so bad about it. So bad about it. It's an excessive amount. Recurrent thoughts of suicide or death. Sometimes it can be just ideation where I just think about that I just don't want to be here. That's not as concerning as when I start to hear that there's a plan, and even more so when I hear that there have been either before or currently attempts to actually take a person's life. Those fit under the depression category. Or you can see a person either agitated or a retardation of their psychomotor. So they're just moving a lot, appearing kind of anxious, or just really slow in their movements. Again, we're interested in what is normal because you've always got that personality. So some people are more slow moving and easygoing and relaxed. Some people are just a higher energy and move faster. So where are they going from their normal? What is the appetite like compared to their normal? What is their sleep like compared to their normal? Some people can get away with as little as 5 hours sleep. That's very unusual. Generally, it's 7 to 8. Some people need 9 to 10. What's normal, and how has that changed? But those are some of the symptoms that we're looking for. Again, you have to have those first 2, and then you end up with 5 combination. So when somebody is talking about feeling blue, sometimes people are saying, I'm kind of feeling depressed, but all it is they got this feeling of depression. That's actually not clinical depression. And there's different kinds. There's premenstrual, there's just different kinds that can happen. And there can also be one that is more dysphoric, but doesn't go as deep as depression. And so you have less symptoms, you have more like 2 symptoms, and they don't go as deep. So sometimes you can feel depressed, but it's not major depressive disorder that would be diagnosed. Some of the other symptoms that are not in the main symptom list, but we see with depression, one is hopelessness. We don't like to see hopelessness because that's the one that makes a person struggle to see the point in living, that kind of thing. Irritability, of course, you've heard that one a few times. Memory issues, so I'm not remembering things as well. I'm forgetting to do things, or did I do that before, or whatever. Sex drive can go down. And with children or adolescents, well, with adults as well, they can end up with psychotic features. When that starts to happen, you want to pay attention to that. So that's depression. It can be major, and that's worth checking out and making sure you get on top of that, or it can be some other things that are happening. Postpartum is another kind of depression. There are certain causes, and again, so much of this fits together. So stress can lead to depression. I said that before already. Life changes, like having a baby, going through a midlife crisis, losing somebody that's close to me. Some of those life changes can be hard to take and can lead us into depression. I want to make sure that I'm doing things not to go that. Faulty thinking. So David Burns wrote a book called Feeling Good, and he's written workbooks to go with that. And he talks about thought distortions. And that is where we take a thought and make it unreasonable, where I'm thinking all or nothing. Everything is absolutely wonderful or it's absolutely awful. Or I minimize something that has gone on. So somebody tells me I did a good job of something, and I say, well, that's just because you were probably a little bit sleepy that day. You just didn't know. Or maximizing something, or you might want to call awfulization. So I slipped and fell, and now everybody in the world thinks I'm absolutely awful. So it's just, the thoughts just get distorted. Instead of, oh my goodness, that was kind of embarrassing, but I guess that happens to people, it turns into a great big thing. There's 10 different kinds of thought distortions. If that grabs your interest, you can look up David Burns. his books would probably be in some of the libraries around you. That's faulty thinking. Albert Ellis also came up with some irrational ideas. Those can be looked up online. And those are things like, if I do something wrong, I'm a terrible bad person. Or if you really knew me, you wouldn't love me. Some of those beliefs that sit under the surface and just knock our self-worth down or knock us down. So faulty thinking can lead to depression. And that's one of the things when I'm talking with people that I'm interested in working on is, how are you thinking? I don't think our most helpful is necessarily going to be how are you feeling, but how are you thinking? And is there a way we can correct that? Feeling hopeless. So just feeling like there's no hope. This pandemic has gone on forever. We're never going to get back to normal. Feeling hopeless can lead to depression. Again, I want to think about how I'm thinking about that. Identity crisis. Who am I really? How do I know? Just trying to figure that out again. That can happen even with a loss of a job that you loved. And I saw myself as a teacher, and now I'm not teaching. Well, who am I if I'm not teaching? Or I've seen myself as a wife, now I'm not a wife. So who am I? And people can go through an identity crisis and those kind of things as well. Physical issues, just some of those things that slow us down. I won't get into those because medical goes beyond what I know, my competence. But physical issues sometimes can lead to depression. Certainly not getting your sleep, not eating properly, that kind of thing, if taken to an extreme, can go there. There it is, illness, fatigue, thyroid issues, hormones, postpartum, life stages, all that stuff can lead to depression. So if I was to take that and put it in other words, when I'm going through things like stress, life change, I'm struggling with how I'm thinking about things, I'm feeling negative about stuff, I want to make sure that I'm doing things to take care of myself, conscious of my thoughts, speaking the truth to myself, and not self-defeating. 3 major factors with depression. First is the environment I'm in. If I'm in an environment where I'm getting knocked down over and over and over, somebody's telling me I'm worthless, or I'm useless, or I'm getting knocked down, that is going to impact me in terms of my buoyancy. My own personal bents or biases. So if we all have what is called a negativity bias. We all tend to think in a negative way, or we can, and we have to discipline ourselves to think differently. For some of us, that's easier than others. Some people just seem to own a pair of rose-colored glasses. Other of us have to work at putting on those rose-colored glasses. So we have different susceptibility to depression based on what our natural bent and biases are. And those can be partly personality, it can be partly what you grew up in, what you know, how you've been spoken to. There's a lot of things that can contribute to that. And the other is physical health factors, which I've already talked about. So I'm not going to talk about that anymore. So those are some of the major factors in depression that we want to be thinking about when we're struggling with that or working with that, whichever way it goes. So, having said all of that, I want to talk about what I'm calling stress management, which probably would better be called self-care or management of my health, whatever I want to call it. Right on the top of my list is exercise. When we exercise, there is a chemical that's released in our bodies called endorphins. That is our natural opiate, which is our pain relievers. The function that I see more than pain relief with endorphins is the mood boost. I read somewhere that if you get a proper heart rate, respiration rate, so you could still carry on a conversation, 5 minutes to a mood boost. Is that number accurate? I don't know if it is, but I do know that when you get exercise, that is a mood booster. So if we're looking at decreasing anxiety or increasing mood, positivity, exercise is going to be a major contributor. That's a lifestyle thing. That's a thing that we lay down and we just have on the basis of our life. I just get regular exercise. Sometimes when I'm working with somebody who's depressed, remember that depression, one of the symptoms is fatigue. And so if we think about exercise, that's just I cannot do that. And if a person's feeling that way, my question is, what can you do? And maybe what you can do is take your favorite dog out for a 5-minute walk, just once a day. Good enough. There's a little bit of endorphins in that. And maybe in 2 weeks from now, you might decide to even bump that up to 7 or 8 minutes. What can you do? You don't have to do an intense workout. One of my best mood boost exercises that I do is simply going out for a walk. Heart rate probably doesn't go all that high for me, but it's still a mood boost. So what can you do? You don't have to go to the gym and lift weights necessarily to get the benefit of exercise. Prayer and meditation, taking that place for calmness and stillness and to focus your thoughts. And if your thoughts start to take off on you, notice it, and then just pull your attention back to what you're doing and get into that place of quietness. Muscle tension and release, that's actually something that we will do with people where you actually go from your toes all the way to your head, and you tighten up the muscles just for a few seconds and hold them there, and then you release them. And then you move to the next muscle set. So you might do that in your feet, and then you might in your legs. Tighten all those muscles up, hold them for a few seconds, and then release them, and you just go up piece by piece of your body till you get to the top of your scalp, and that can actually have a very calming effect. Guided imagery, you can do that with anything that has pictures in it. So you can play something, you can have somebody read something to you that helps you to just kind of move into a calmer place. Something that you also can do is if you have a favorite place where you've been, maybe beside a river or beside a lake or on a beach somewhere that you've been, or if you haven't but you can imagine it. Our imagination is a huge player in our mental health. You can imagine negative things and end up with a stress response. We've probably all done that. You can also imagine pleasant things and end up with a pleasant response. So I could, in my mind, picture a beach that has turquoise water, like I've seen on TV, and white sand, and I might imagine what the birds sound like, and I start getting right into all the senses. Anxiety lives in the storyline of our life, what's happened or what's coming. In the very moment where all the senses are, there's calm there. And so I can use the 5 senses, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and feeling how I am in the present moment. And that will help me to come down to a little bit more calmness. You can just, especially if you're one of these people like me that moves fast, you can actually just slow yourself down. Walk at a slower pace to manage if you're going through stress. Other things that you can do. If a person's feeling overwhelmed, you can organize yourself. Set some priorities. And make lists. So I'm not trying to keep everything in my mind at the same time. I'm writing it down, checking it off. Some people love to do the checking stuff off, and if you're one of those person, that's a great thing to do. Think about your diet. So if I'm eating food that is fueling my body, I'm going to have the energy that I need for the buoyancy. So how healthy my physical body is going to impact how emotionally healthy I am and relationally. Balance. Balance is huge. Our body's always working on homeostasis, keeping us in balance. If you are doing an exercise with a therapist or something like that, they will tell you that you need to, if you're exercising this arm, you need to exercise this arm in the same way so that you've got balance. We need balance in our life. So I need to balance my work with my home, my school. I need a balance. Know what your limits are. So some people are just people that can do a whole bunch of things in a day, and some people are people that just need to work with a more laid back, relaxed schedule. And again, I'm coming back to the same principle. It's what is your normal? If your normal is, I feel best when I'm doing 10 things in a 5-hour day, then that's what you need to do. If you're one that needs to focus on one thing in a day, that's what you need to do. You need to know what your limits are, and you need to work within those. Your limits are not good or bad. They just are. And so you want to work with those limits. Build a support network. Community is huge. People talking to people. Sometimes when people come to see me, it's just the idea that they've been able to talk to somebody who's not judgmental. So having a support network that loves you and doesn't judge you. I would add that on there too. And journaling. Some people just do better when they can write things out. If we stuff things under the rug, we end up with a lumpy rug, and we keep tripping on it. Best way to diffuse a feeling is to feel it. The purpose of a feeling is simply to feel it. So if I'm going through something, I can talk to somebody, and that will help me with those feelings. I can journal it. I can paint it. I can draw it. Whatever I need to do to just experience those feelings, process them, and let them diffuse. So the thing to remember, having heard all of those things, is when we don't take care of ourselves, that's when we're at risk for mental health issues. So bottom line is take care of yourself. Do what you need to do to counteract that stress system, and give attention to your thoughts. Think well, live well, and it will help your mental health. Thanks for taking the time to listen.
Thank you for watching this video with Dr. Cath talking about depression. I hope you got something out of it. Again, if you're looking for more help, please go in the description box below, and our website is there. If you scroll down on our website, you'll see a contact us button, and you can contact us so we can make a plan forward for you in looking to get you the helps that you need. Additionally, if you're interested in mental health, please click that subscription button and subscribe to our channel. Check out our other videos on our channel if you're interested in more mental health videos.